We have a significant update on our favorite interstellar object. It could be the biggest update in the solar system. Take a look at this. That entails that if it's a natural comet, there should be a very massive cloud of gas around it. And we are starting to get brand new images of 3 Atlas right now. If it were a well-known comet, the features of a comet, specifically the release of gas and dust, ought to have been dragged backwards away from the sun by solar radiation and the solar wind. Nevertheless, the images released today don't show a cometary tail. They just show a blob of light, a fuzz, similar to how we saw the light around it when it was far away from the sun. And so the question is, what is this object? Why is it acting in such a different way than other solar system comets? The last time we talked about it, 3 Atlas went behind the sun. Then it suddenly became brighter, then it got bluer, and then it started to go faster, demonstrating non-gravitational acceleration. Already, this had defied what typical comets would do. Well, now we have brand new images. On November 5th, 2025, NASA finally released fresh images of 3 Atlas emerging from its journey around the Sun after repeated pressure from Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb and the astronomy community. And add even more strangeness to the 3I Atlas saga because I don't want to overhype this. Yes, that's a comet. Supposedly, that's what NASA wants you to believe. But it does not have a noticeable tail. Aren't comets meant to have tails? Ladies and gentlemen, the 3I Atlas mystery has just increased. Let's dive into it. The plan was that 3 Atlas would go behind the sun. The natural explanation for the non-gravitational acceleration might be that it burned off a large amount of volatile chemicals, and that evaporation would function similarly to thrust, roughly 13% of its mass, and we would expect to see a large cometary tail as a result. But these images show no tail. So, what's happening? The surprising fact is that, according to what we know about comets, there ought to have been a very massive cloud of gas and dust around it. However, the most recent images do not show a cometary tail. Instead, the object still appears simply as a diffuse, fuzzy glow, just as it did when it was far from the sun. For comparison, images taken of a known comet Lemon just 2 days earlier clearly show a well-defined tail. 3 Atlas does not resemble that at all. This leaves open the question, why does it behave so differently from usual comets in our solar system? Even after passing perihelion, receiving approximately 770 watts per square meter of solar radiation. Earlier observations showed that the previous plume was mostly carbon dioxide, which sublimates at a much lower temperature than water ice. We still expected to see it break up or at least disintegrate into a dense and extended cloud of gas and dust. So the question remains, what is happening? One possible scenario is that the evaporating material consists of very small ice fragments that vaporize in sunlight before they have time to be pushed outward and form a visible plume or tail. That is one potential interpretation. But beyond that, there is no detailed explanation. The object also became bluer than before and brighter by a factor of 5. There are aspects of this object that we do not currently understand, and that's what makes it exciting. We will receive additional data over the next few weeks. On December 19th, 6 days before Christmas, it will be at its closest approach to Earth. Hopefully, we do not receive any unwanted gifts for the holidays. Or perhaps the present will be something friendly and enlightening, helping us better understand the universe. We shall see. There is no assurance here. We had expected a tail. An obvious explanation existed. Now, with no tail, we are left with an unknown result. It is like a blind date with an interstellar object formed in an environment completely foreign to us. The primary question is whether it is natural or technological. If it is natural, what kind of environment produces something like this, and how prevalent is that setting? It could be sending large objects into our solar system regularly, and we simply have not realized the source. Either way, science is important. Discoveries like this challenge the idea that experts already know the answers. The universe occasionally calls us to think twice. Dr. Avilobi elaborated, 3 Atlas has undergone several notable developments recently that don't fit into the pattern of comets. And now, again on November 5th, we see a new anomaly. It passed perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, on October 29th, about 203 million kilometers, 126 million miles away. It was receiving approximately 770 watts of solar energy per square meter, its greatest heating along its path. Around the same time, solar observatories observed the object becoming significantly brighter, by about a factor of 5, even though it was not visible from Earth due to its position behind the Sun. What stood out even more was that the object became bluer than the Sun. Natural comets generally appear redder because they release dust and because their surfaces are cooler. So this color shift is unusual. In addition, the trajectory of 3 Atlas deviated from what gravitational forces alone would predict. This indicates non-gravitational acceleration. If this acceleration is caused by evaporation, the object must have lost at least 10% of its mass, if not closer to 20%, in gas. If that were the case, there should now be a substantial cloud of gas and dust trailing it, forming a clear cometary tail pushed away from the Sun by radiation and solar wind. There were already several anomalies attracting attention.